All right, good Wednesday evening, everybody. David Paul here in the KHOU 11 Weather Center, and we're just 18 hours away or less from this cold front coming in, this Arctic blast. Don't underestimate how cold and how quickly it is going to get tomorrow afternoon and evening. We will go from temps very comfortable in the 60s early afternoon, and then as the front comes in, very quickly, in a matter of minutes, drop into the 40s. North wind will be gusting to 30 and above. And very quickly, this is going to get uncomfortably cold if you're not prepared. So if you're leaving in the morning and you won't be home until the evening, make sure you take a coat. Take the big coat with you, because it will get that cold and windy as we head into the afternoon and evening on Thursday. As we stand Wednesday evening, here's what's going on across the country. All the pink, St. Louis to Chicago winter storm warnings. The orange areas, blizzard warnings. I was looking at the forecast for Chicago as we head into tomorrow and tomorrow night. They're forecasting winds sustained at 30, gusting to 50 with blowing snow. And they may indeed transition over to blizzard conditions in Chicago. Blizzards is a matter of visibility being lost from blowing snow. So you get the wind, you get the snow, lose visibility, that's a blizzard. So while they're facing the winter weather with the actual snow falling from the sky, all the warnings in Texas and across the deep south, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, they're all warnings that are based on temperature. We have a freeze warning, we have a wind chill warning. We'll go over those numbers in just a moment, but I wanted to focus on the wind first. The pink, Galveston Bay, Sabine Lake, Matagorda Bay, and the nearshore waters of the Gulf under a gale warning, which means winds are going to gust above 40 miles an hour across the bay and the coast. They may gust to 50 at times, Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, into Friday morning. So that is going to drive this cold sub-freezing air into everything. And I tried to cover up one of my tropicals the best I could, but I know this wind may make it so that even the covered plants may not survive because the wind just drives that cold air everywhere you don't want it to be. Here's where the cold air is on Wednesday evening. That's the leading edge of the Arctic air. North Platte, Nebraska is at 7 below. Rapid City then 17 below. Bismarck 18 below. Billings, Montana 23 below. There were several spots up here across Wyoming, Montana, and the Dakotas today where they had record temperature drops in a very short amount of time. I saw a couple reports out of Wyoming where the temperature as the front came through dropped 40 degrees in about 2 minutes and then continued to drop. So this is going to be a very sharp drop in temperature across the Houston area tomorrow, something that we really rarely see here. So tomorrow, if nothing else, is going to be a very interesting weather day to observe just how quickly the temperature can drop under the right conditions. Here's the big picture. Go into Thursday. This is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. At that point, we're reaching our high temperature for the day, about 62 in Houston. But up in Dallas, they're at 24 with a north wind gusting to 40. So that's what will quickly come in as the front blows through. So we go from the low to mid 60s to sub-freezing by 7 p.m. in just a matter of a couple of hours. Dallas down to 19, Oklahoma City at 8. Denver minus 10, minus 8, minus 9, minus 10 by Friday morning. Houston going down to the teens as we head into Friday morning. Dallas at 14. San Antonio goes down to 21. Corpus down to 27. This is going to wreak havoc on all the tropical plants across Texas. Let's take a closer look at how this is going to move. So here's our area. This is Thursday at noon. And at that point, the leading edge of the cool air is right about here, Brenham to Huntsville. So they're in the 50s while we're still in the 60s. Galveston 62, Pearland 62, downtown at 60. That's at noon. So I'm going to put this in motion. It's going to go all the way to 5 o'clock. I want you to watch how quickly and how sharp this temperature transition is going to be. So here we go. But you just rarely see it come through like that. Such a quick change. Again, a very quick 20-degree temperature drop, and then it continues to drop as the wind picks up and it drives that 40, 30-degree air that we'll have in the afternoon while the sun's still up. And then we're down into the 20s, north of I-10 by 7:15. So by sunset, almost all inland areas, Pearland, Pasadena, and northward, are at or below freezing, with a north wind gusting to 30, and again on the coast gusting to 40 or above. We go into Friday morning, and these temperatures are still consistent with the forecast modeling we've seen over the past several days, where we dropped down to 18 in Houston, Spring 17, Conroe 15, Huntsville down to 15 degrees. That actually may be a degree warmer, this latest model run, but there's nothing warm about any of this. Galveston down to 25 Friday morning, but again, at that point you've still got a north wind gusting to near 40 in Galveston, north wind across our inland counties gusting 20 to 25 Friday morning. That is a very, very cold morning. Now, we go through the day on Friday. This is Friday afternoon. We might reach the freezing mark, we might not. We're going to forecast 32 for a high temp, but the model, this latest run, Pearland 32, Houston 31, Conroe 30, Huntsville, you guys don't get out of the 20s up there on Friday. And that's with full sunshine, sun blazing down. You're going to look outside and it's going to look like a summer day, and it won't be that. Quite the opposite. So winds, these are wind forecast gusts going into Friday morning, gusting near 40 on the Galveston coast, gusting 24, 24, 30, 25, Angleton gusting to near 30 as well. So you combine that with the temperature and you get the wind chill. Feels like 0 in Conroe with that wind blowing. Feels like 5 degrees in Houston. Feels like 7 degrees in the Brazosport area. Galveston feeling like 9 degrees. Feeling like it's 1 degree below 0. College Station, Huntsville, Livingston. So again, that wind, it hits your skin. Not only does it evaporate moisture off your skin, which takes heat away from your skin, but also your body with the little hairs on it keeps a thin little boundary layer of heat right above the surface of your skin, just a millimeter or two thick, and that wind just blows that right off. And so that's why the wind is a two-factor process in making it feel actually much colder to your body than the temperature really is, and that is going to be dangerously cold. Looking at the rest of the weekend, Christmas Eve, Saturday morning down to 19. So Friday we get to maybe near freezing, maybe not quite to freezing, stay below it, then we drop back down into Saturday morning down to 19. We rebound to 38, so we get above freezing, a little bit above freezing on Saturday afternoon with full sunshine. Then it's down again into the low 20s. North side probably see some upper teens Christmas Day, Sunday morning, and then a little bigger rebound up to 46 under full sunshine. And as we mentioned, 23, so if we do get down and hit 23 at Bush Continental Airport, our station of record, on Christmas morning, that will put us right in here, right at number 3 for the coldest Christmas ever recorded in Houston. That would be the 3rd coldest Christmas if we do indeed hit 23, right between 1989 at 20 and 1990 at 26 degrees. Now, I remember 83, I remember 89, I remember 90. All of those were what we call radiational freezes. So we had clear skies and calm winds. This one is coming with a wind, and that just makes all the difference in making it feel so much colder than it actually is. And you'll see what I'm talking about tomorrow afternoon. I really, really am stressing to be prepared. So here's how this goes on Thursday. We wake up at 44 tomorrow morning. Beautiful, mild, we'll go to the low to mid 60s. And then sometime between noon and 5 o'clock, depending on where you are, that temperature is just going to plunge. So, and this will happen quickly. We'll go from 65 to 40 in just a matter of a few minutes. And we're not used to that. It will be very interesting to observe how quickly it can get cold. Make sure you're prepared with having a coat and a scarf and be ready for the cold coming in. Oh, the sky should also look beautiful as well. Quite often when you get this much of a temperature contrast, even though there's no support for any type of precipitation, I'm expecting several different cloud layers right on that compression zone where the front's coming through, and it should look beautiful. We're going to run a time lapse from several different cameras, and we'll be showing that to you on the news at 4, 5, and 6 tomorrow afternoon. That should be beautiful. Looking at the 7-day, again, cold front tomorrow. That's an understatement. Friday is bitter cold. Saturday and Sunday, cold. But look at no precip in the next 7 days. We stay absolutely dry Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So this means no issues on the roads with any ice, at least not from the sky. You know, if you get a sprinkler head that bursts and puts water on the road, and you're getting down to 17 and 18 degrees, absolutely it will freeze. So those, some isolated spots just from man's sprinklers and whatnot bursting and putting water on the road could cause a few isolated ice spots, but it's not weather related, at least not falling from the sky. And then there's Sunday, Christmas 23. Santa loves this forecast. He's going to ride that north wind in here on that sleigh, just going to scoot in here, go down some chimneys, deliver some presents. I can't wait. It's nice to have a cold Christmas because last year we had a high of 80 on Christmas. This will be just the opposite. Okay, that's where we stand meteorologically. We're going to take your questions. Again, our CEO, CFO, VP, President, Chairman of the Board of our social media network, Randy is here to read the questions, and I'll reread them so you can hear them, and we'll get going here. What's going on, Randy?
I get promoted every day.
It's another promotion for you today.
Okay, well, MJ, I know you mentioned it before, but MJ may have come in a little late, wants to know exactly when, the timing of when that big drop's going to happen.
MJ wants the timing of when the drop's going to happen. Let's just back up to it again because this is worth looking at more than once. We rarely in Houston get this sharp of a temperature drop. So there's the leading edge of the cold air at noon. So most of the area is forecast to still be in the 60s and relatively comfortable at noon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through this a little slower, and we'll bring this to, look at this. Look at that. Oh, it's exciting to see it meteorologically because we rarely get it. What a sharp temperature contrast we're going to have. 62 in Pearland, 53 in Spring, 30s in College Station by the time we get to 2:30. So it looks like the leading edge of this cold air is going to reach downtown, like the wind shift, the real leading edge of it, right around 2:30. I would make sure I had a coat handy by the time we get into 2:30, 3 o'clock because it's going to get cold. And again, the wind is going to make it feel so much colder. So that's 2:30, 59 corridor. And then we race off, and by the time we get to 7 o'clock, everybody's cold and windy and below freezing by 7 o'clock. I hope that answers your question.
Brenda wants to know about bridges. Is it safe to drive on the bridges, or are those going to freeze?
So Brenda, great question, asking about bridges and overpasses, because when we have freezes, we quite often are worried about ice on bridges and overpasses. But with this scenario, there's no precipitation, no freezing rain, no sleet, no snow. It's just sunshine or clear skies. So travel should be unimpacted. Bridges will be fine. You can drive around, you can get stuff done. Just make sure if you leave in your car, you've got warm clothing with you because, you know, Houston cars, sometimes your battery's on the edge. We get into the cold, the battery dies, you're stranded. You want to make sure you have cold weather gear with you so you don't get uncomfortable while you're waiting for a crew to come and help you out. So no issues with travel. Bridges and overpasses will all be clear.
Okay. We're getting a couple questions about power outages and concern about power going out.
That's a great question. The power. Will the power go out? And in general, the answer to that question is no. We're not expecting that. Although we are going to have some gusty wind, the winds are not going to be strong enough to give us widespread power outages. Let me walk you through this one more time and I'll get to the wind. But wind gusts for the inland areas are forecast to peak at about 30 to 35. So we've got to see wind gusts to 40 to really, where I've noticed over the years, to get to just begin to see the isolated tree branch coming down or a tree bent over enough in the wind to come down. So I expect that we will see a few isolated reports of power outages, but that's it. You know, that's to be expected. Nothing widespread like we had back in 2021 where the grid failed. Now, if your power goes out, you're probably going to think the grid failed. That's what I would think. But it's expected to be isolated, very isolated. Maybe a street here, a house here, maybe a small neighborhood's impacted, depending on exactly where on the transmission line you get a branch coming down. But these are wind gusts by 6 a.m., gusting 25 to 30 inland, 37 to 40 on the coast. I think that if we're going to see a power outage, it's probably more likely right along the coast and maybe near the bay. So it may be that Texas City and San Leon and Kemah and Clear Lake have a little better chance for an isolated power outage, but I'm not expecting anything widespread. The winds aren't strong enough for that. Good question.
And that's really about it.
All right. Well, that does cover it. Randy's saying that's about it as far as the questions. I think that the best advice would just be prepared. Take that jacket, sweater, coat with you when you leave in the morning if you're going to be out in the afternoon. And once the cold sets in, if you're going to go out, going to do some shopping, Christmas is coming this weekend, we got to get to the grocery store, go do it. But make sure you take warm clothing and maybe an extra blanket with you just in case something unexpected happens while the weather is so severe. You know, we don't quite often think of cold weather as severe, but for Houston, these temperatures below freezing all day on Friday, that's severe, and we need to treat it like that. So just plan ahead, take extra blankets with you, take a little extra food with you if you got a little kid with you as well. You know, if you get stranded in your car for a few hours, good to have a little food on hand just in case. That's what I would do. And then just try to stay home and warm and safe just as much as possible. So that's where we stand right now on this Wednesday evening. Tomorrow's the day it all comes in. Also, I would really, this is an interesting day. I would take a moment to observe this one. I'm planning on coming in early and then being out in the parking lot when this wind shift actually occurs. I want to see it with my own eyes because this is an unusual and special event for Houston, getting so cold so quickly. Live update on the TV side at 10 o'clock on the 10 p.m. news. And then, of course, we'll be here to give you an update again tomorrow evening as the temperature plunges below freezing. Stay safe. Good night. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.